The sun always seemed to shine a little too brightly on Maple Street, a perfect postcard of suburban life. Every morning, golden rays would spill over the rooftops, illuminating the neat rows of houses and the carefully swept sidewalks. It was the kind of place that looked like it belonged in a magazine where every detail seemed curated for comfort and charm. The air was always fresh, the sky impossibly blue, and the gentle hum of sprinklers was the only sound that broke the silence at dawn. Lawns were obsessively manicured, white picket fences gleamed, and children's laughter promised safety. Neighbors exchanged pleasantries over hedges and the scent of fresh-cut grass lingered in the air. On weekends, families gathered for barbecues, their voices blending into a gentle chorus of contentment. It was a place where nothing bad was supposed to happen, where the biggest worry was a stray baseball breaking a window. The world outside felt far away, as if Maple Street existed in its own bubble of tranquility. But sometimes the wind carried a low hum, a quiet that felt heavy, like a held breath. There were moments when the silence pressed in, thick and unyielding, as if the whole street was waiting for something to happen. The rustle of leaves seemed to whisper secrets, and the shadows cast by the trees grew long and strange as the day wore on. It was a silence that didn't comfort, but unsettled, hinting at things unseen.
I moved here for peace, but from day one I felt watched. The houses stared back, their windows like vacant eyes. Even in the middle of the day when the street was alive with activity, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was always observing. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of a curtain twitching or the faintest movement behind a blind. It was as if the homes themselves were alive, quietly judging every step I took.
The silence wasn't empty, it was full of secrets. Each home a mask, hiding whatever lay behind its cheerful facade. Behind every closed door, there were stories no one spoke of, whispers that never made it past the mailbox. The more I looked, the more I realized that the perfection was only skin deep. There was a tension in the air, a sense that everyone was playing a part, careful not to let the mask slip.
The friendly waves felt rehearsed. I was an outsider, and the picture-perfect world of Maple Street was just that. A picture. Every interaction seemed scripted, every smile a little too wide, every greeting a little too practiced. I wondered what lay beneath the surface, what truths were being carefully hidden behind those polite nods and cheerful hellos. It was as if everyone was guarding a secret, and I was the only one who didn't know the rules.
And something was deeply, terribly wrong beneath the glossy surface. The more I tried to fit in, the more I sensed the undercurrent of unease that ran through Maple Street. It was a place where appearances mattered more than truth, and where the calm was only a thin veil stretched over something much darker. The deceptive calm of Maple Street was just the beginning of the story. The man next door was Mr. Allister, his house the only blemish on Maple Street's perfection. Every other home on the block seemed to glow with warmth and welcome, but his stood apart, shrouded in a kind of quiet gloom. The paint was faded, the garden untended, and the windows always seemed to reflect the light in a way that made it impossible to see inside. Even in the brightest daylight, his house looked as if it belonged to another world, one where laughter and neighborly chatter never quite reached.
I tried a neighborly wave the first time I saw him, hoping to break the ice. He just stared, blank and unblinking, then turned away without a word. There was something about the way he moved, slow, deliberate, as if every gesture was carefully measured. It was unsettling, but I told myself he was probably just shy, maybe even a little misunderstood. Still, the silence that followed felt heavy, as if the air itself had thickened between us.
That stare became routine. Day after day, I'd catch him watching me from behind his curtains or through the cracked glass of his front window. Never aggressive, never overtly hostile, just cold, patient, and deeply unsettling. It was as if he was waiting for something, or perhaps studying me, trying to figure out what kind of neighbor I would be. Sometimes I'd feel his gaze before I even saw him, a prickling sensation at the back of my neck that made me quicken my pace.
Maybe he was lonely, maybe just odd, but his gaze felt predatory, like a cat watching a bird from the shadows. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, that I was letting my imagination get the better of me. But every time our eyes met, I felt a chill run down my spine. It was impossible to shake the feeling that I was being watched, even when I was alone in my own home.
The other neighbors avoided him. When I asked about Mr. Allister, they changed the subject, eyes darting to his house as if afraid he might overhear. Conversations that had been warm and open suddenly became clipped and awkward. It was as if his presence cast a shadow over the entire street, one that everyone felt but no one wanted to acknowledge. I started to wonder what they knew that I didn't, and why no one seemed willing to talk about it.
"He's a very private man," was all anyone would say, their voices dropping to a whisper. No one offered more, and no one lingered on the topic. It was clear that Mr. Allister was a subject best left alone, a mystery that everyone had learned to live with but never to solve. The more I tried to learn, the more isolated I felt, as if my curiosity itself was a kind of trespass.
Mr. Allister was the unspoken secret of Maple Street, the darkness at the edge of everyone's vision. And I, new to the neighborhood and perhaps a little too curious for my own good, was the only one foolish enough to look directly into that darkness, not yet understanding what it might reveal. Sleep brought no escape, only nightmares of endless hallways and a tall, thin shadow hunting me.
I started a notebook documenting every scratch, every whisper, every shadow. Reading it back, I sounded insane.
I tried to rationalize, rats, wind, paranoia, but nothing explained the terror.
The exterminator found nothing. The house was sealed tight. The whispers? Just the pipes, I told myself.
Each failed explanation chipped away at my sanity. The world outside felt fake, like a stage set.
Maybe the nightmare wasn't the house, maybe it was me.
Soft layered whispers.
I called my best friend Sarah. I needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy.
She visited, listened, and tried to reason. Houses make noises, you're stressed. The neighbor's just odd.
See, nothing, you just need sleep.
The house stayed silent for her, as if hiding. That was even more terrifying.
After she left, the activity returned, louder, clearer, almost forming words.
Her doubt severed my last tie to reality. I was alone, adrift in psychological terror.
No one believed me. I was alone with the man next door and the things in the walls.
Desperate, I dug into the house's history. Old newspapers revealed families vanishing, always with Mr. Allister as the last to see them.
The records didn't add up. He should be over 100, but looked 70.
I snapped a photo of him in his yard. When I zoomed in, his eyes were solid black, like ink or empty holes.
Proof, but proof I could show no one.
Something ancient and predatory lived next door wearing a human face.
The whispers, the scratching, the disappearances, it all connected. I wasn't just haunted, I was being hunted. 8.
Days later, an envelope appeared. No stamp, just my name in spidery calligraphy.
Inside, I see you've been curious. Perhaps it's time we talk. Please join me for tea. Alistair?
The invitation was both a courtesy and a threat. Every instinct screamed to run, but I had to know.
As the sun set, I made up my mind. I was gonna see it through.
I crossed the lawn. The air grew colder. The door swung open before I could knock.
Max, I've been expecting you. Please do come in.
Inside, the house was chillingly ordered. Symbols covered the walls, drawn in ink or dried blood, pulsing with energy.
Look closer. Listen. Fear.
Mr. Allister led me to a sitting room. No TV, just 2 chairs and a steaming tea set.
You have been a most inquisitive neighbor. Others learned not to look. It is a shame you did not.
What are you?
I am the watcher, the collector. This street is a garden, and from time to time the garden must be tended.
His form flickered, revealing a shadow beneath. The whispers swelled, and I felt a scream build in my throat. The house at 124 Maple Street was for sale again. Max had vanished just like those before him.
Such a shame. Some people just aren't cut out for the suburbs.
The new couple loved the place. They waved at the elderly man next door, who smiled back. That night, the husband found words scratched inside the trash can. Don't listen, don't look, it watches.
Probably just a prank by the last owner.
Inside, Mr. Allister waited, patient. The garden would need tending again, soon. On Maple Street, the sun shone brightly, and the silence was full of unspoken